off the screen. Yeah.
Did you receive my email? Did you get the presentation? Oh, okay.
Yep, got it. Just now. Thank you.
So, at the risk of my dogs getting ready to bark, if anybody walks past my window, I'm gonna let's get this started. I want to thank everybody for taking the time out. I know it's like 6 o'clock and you're home, kind of comfortable, but thank you for taking part in it. So we have 2 agenda items, and we can get through them and get back to what is it, Dancing with the Stars or whatever tonight or whatever. Anyway, we're going to start with DOT. I believe Navardo's on the phone. Keith is there, and Matt Arancio, and this is regarding Westchester Avenue and Fox Street and East 165th. So you guys can take it away.
Navardo or Keith, do you want to intro here, or?
Matt, why don't you go ahead and intro?
All right, sure, no problem. So, we're here today to talk about pedestrian safety improvements that we would like to make at the intersection of Westchester Avenue, Fox Street, and East 165th Street, as Maria mentioned. On the line from our pedestrian group, who's going to go through the genesis of this project and why we're here today, is Mia Moffitt and also Julio Palero. But Mia will actually be doing the presentation. So without further ado, I'll just let Mia take it away.
Thanks for having me. My name is Mia Moffitt, and I'm a senior project manager in the pedestrian unit at New York City DOT. And I'm going to go through our presentation for Westchester Ave, Fox Street, and East 165th Street. You can go to the next slide. First, I'm going to go through the background and existing conditions. The background, looking at this intersection, you can see there's a channelized triangle in the middle of the roadway adjacent to the elevated subway train. There are crosswalks leading into this channelized triangle in the roadway. And because of this condition, we've received, DOT has received multiple community requests for pedestrian improvements to this intersection. And earlier this year, in July, we did a walkthrough with Council Member Salamanca to discuss pedestrian safety, not just in this area, but along Westchester Avenue in general. Next slide. Looking at the area itself, our project area consists of the north side of Westchester Avenue from Simpson Street to Fox Street and 165th Street from Fox to Westchester. It's a very high volume pedestrian location, and this is due to its location close to the elevated 2 and 5 train station at Simpson Street. There's multiple bus lines, the BX4 and BX4A on Westchester Avenue. There's the El Nuevo San Juan Medical Center at Southern Boulevard. And there's a lot of other commercial real establishments along Westchester Avenue in this area. It is also in a Vision Zero priority area, and Westchester Avenue itself is a Vision Zero priority corridor. Fortunately, there have been 0 killed or severely injured persons in our study area, period, which is 2014 to 2018. There have been 10 non-serious pedestrian injuries, 1 bicyclist, and 24 motor vehicle occupant injuries. Next slide. Looking at the intersection of East 165th Street and Westchester Avenue, the sidewalk here on the north side of Westchester Avenue is very narrow, and it's further narrowed by the grocery store, which is right on the corner there of 165th and Westchester. They frequently are loading and unloading, and their wares kind of come out onto the sidewalk, further constricting this already narrow space. There is also a potential conflict with turns from Westchester Ave onto East 165th Street, where if you're making that right, you can go either on the inside or the outside of the subway column there. And there's a lot of double parking on Westchester Avenue and like in our project location. Next slide. Moving to the intersection of Fox and East 165th Street, this channelized triangle here in the roadway does not provide any sort of pedestrian refuge. It's also not ADA compliant, and looking at the photo, you can tell that there's like cobble in the roadway. So for a person in a wheelchair or on crutches or even just a normal person trying to walk through here, it's very difficult to navigate on foot. There's also the 2 crosswalks on East 116th Street at Fox are uncontrolled. They're not stopped or signalized. And there's also a missing crosswalk to the corner of East 165th Street and Westchester Avenue here. Next slide. And I'm going to go through our proposal for this location. So this project will be constructed in DOT's in-house construction program, and as part of the toolkit for our in-house construction program, we have several options such as traffic signals, parking regulations, thermoplastic markings, concrete triangles, and expanded sidewalks with paint and delineators that we can use. Next slide. So looking at the options in our toolkit, the proposal that we have come up with for this location is to widen that very narrow sidewalk on the north side of Westchester Avenue outside the grocery store and paint. And also paint and add flexible delineators in between the columns in order to move that double right-hand turn conflict to the outside of the columns and remove that conflict. And then we will, we're looking to add commercial loading regulations on Westchester Avenue to formalize the loading that's happening there. Next slide. Looking at Fox and East 165th Street, we're proposing to construct a large concrete triangle where that channelized triangle currently is. And this will have parking and trees in it. This will add about 3 parking spaces to the area. We are also looking to construct a concrete curb extension on the northeast corner of Fox and East 165th Street. This will help to shorten pedestrian crossing distances in this area. And we are also proposing to signalize that intersection there at Fox East 165th Street. And in order to install the signal here, as it has to be coordinated with Westchester Avenue, we will need to restrict that low volume left-hand turn from East 165th Street onto southbound Fox. And we'll be installing that missing crosswalk on Westchester Avenue at 165th Street. Next slide. So there's many benefits from this project, and some of them are listed here. There's expanded pedestrian space, signalized pedestrian crossings, adding parking spaces, safer and shorter pedestrian crossings, and we're clarifying traffic movements. The next slide is a summary of all of our proposal, and then that's it. And thank you. We'll take questions now.
Does anybody have any questions, Bobby?
I have a question.
Okay, Ralph.
There's no timeline. When are you looking to do this? How long is this going to take?
Yeah, we're looking to construct this next year in 2021.
Okay, 'cause, right now across the street from here, we have 2 big construction projects going on. And, if you start trying to renovate this triangle, it's going to just be a traffic nightmare on Westchester there. So I don't know when that construction is completed, but I hope that it will be done after the construction is completed, starting in your end.
Ralph, we can get you a rough estimate on the timeline for implementation of a triangle like this, if that's helpful. I don't think this is too long of an implementation, and so if there is construction happening on both sides of the roadway, we would be sure to get in and out in a timely manner.
Just want to make sure you guys were aware of that.
Yep.
Maria, I have a question. Fox Street runs to the south side. From what I saw from the diagrams, they're going to be turning off of Westchester to get into 165th Street because they're closing it down. How's that traffic pattern going to be addressed there? Because even though you put a traffic light there, there's still a concern that somebody's going to take that light. And it's going to lead on into, because what you're showing me there now you're showing that where the red dot is at is supposed to be closed down. Am I correct?
East 165th Street will be open to traffic.
Oh, it's going to stay open to
Yes,
traffic.
it's going to stay open to traffic. You just cannot make a left-hand turn from East 165th Street onto Fox. If you need to turn left to Westchester Avenue, you will have to go one additional block to Tiffany Street to make that left.
And the reason being?
It does not work with the signal timing. I have, if you keep going in the proposal, I have a slide in the appendix going over the signal timing, and I can talk you through that. It's one more after this. Yeah. So if you look at the section here that says phase 2, if you look at the green arrow on 165th Street shows when 165th Street has the green light. The storage space in between Westchester and 165th Street on Fox only can store about 2 vehicles. So if the light turns red and there's 2 vehicles sitting on that short period of roadway right there, and someone turns from East 165th Street and they don't have space to sit on Fox Street, they will block the through movement on East 165th Street, and none of that traffic will move.
All right. But you still can make a left off of Westchester.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And that triangle, is it going to be cement or just paint?
Concrete. Yeah.
Concrete?
Yep.
Okay.
And we're looking to install trees and other amenities to make it a really nice space.
And who's going to maintain it?
The Parks Department maintains the trees and takes care of them when they...
I'm glad that Parks is on. I like to hear their side on this one. They're going to say, where's the money? Rob, you're laughing, but you know it's the truth.
I just love that whole idea.
This is Selvas. Just a quick question. So is the triangle angle elevated or is it street level?
So yes, it's
elevated
just for height.
And will it be wheelchair accessible for those who are handicapped? Okay.
Yes, there will be pedestrian ramps at every edge of the triangle, and it will be 100% ADA compliant.
If it's going to be curb height, I think you need to also ensure that there's some sort of markation that it is. We have problems with like the traffic circle over by Intervale, where cars just kind of just drive over it because they're accustomed to it being a certain way.
Yeah, this will not have a mountable curb. I'm familiar with that project, and that has like a mountable curb on it. This will have a steel face curb that will not, especially if we put trees on it. I mean, that will also stop anyone from being able to drive on it. And we hope to put some. I
think that you and I and Ralph, together with Mr. Lopez and Mr. Cobb, we need to go back to that site again and talk about it, because that has now become a parking lot. That little circle, So we have to come back to revisit that.
Intervale traffic circle?
The roundabout.
The roundabout has become a parking? People parking on it?
Yeah, because people just come right off the street, and since it's at street level, it's on a street level. They can go right on.
Yeah, that one was designed mountable because it's larger rig trucks need to be able to maneuver around it. This is different because this is not going to be in the middle of the road. This is going to be.
No, I'm not debating this, Keith.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I'm not debating this, Keith. I said that we have to go visit.
Yeah, we can do that. Let's do it.
All right, but it's going to have to be get back, and it'll be after the 30th.
Maybe we'll put some bike share stations on there to prevent people from parking on it.
You just put the whole thing.
I'll take it. Just do it all around. Just do it all around. Take all the ones that you put all around my house. But I think you guys did it on purpose.
No.
And put it right on the circle.
Just to Maria's point, though, sometimes when we do install these, we do notice that it takes drivers a moment to become accustomed to the new maneuver. And so, in the event that there's a visibility issue, we can always add some sort of signage, like a vertical, like reflector signage to indicate to drivers that there is a new curb where once there wasn't one. So, we see how it works without such signage or such reflectors. And then in the event that it's necessary, we can always come back and install that. We try not to, but sometimes it's necessary to do so.
I also go in here.
In 165th Street.
Okay. So then on Fox and Westchester, what's that? That's a traffic light there also, correct?
Yeah, there's already a traffic light there. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And the two will be coordinated together.
All right, that works then.
You mentioned that you're going to start in 2021. Do you have an idea whether it's spring of 21, early, New Year's?
Yeah, we don't have an idea. Our construction season is from March until, about October. So sometime in there.
Hi, hello. My name is Julio Plero. Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Yeah,
we can hear you.
I work with Mia, and I just want to talk about the scheduling. Most likely it'll be later in the year, 21. Most likely second half of the year.
All right.
Okay, so
Mike from Parks about maintaining that seriously, because I could see shrubbery all over the place already, bottles all over the place, cans all over the place, and it's a great idea, but the maintenance is where we have a trouble. We always have problems with these projects.
We coordinate with Parks on the installation of any tree pits in these projects, Bobby. So just if it seems like Parks does not want to maintain additional tree pits or shrubbery, they'll indicate to us accordingly, and we can omit that from the design. The intent to say tree pit or additional green space would just be to, if there was a desire to somehow beautify the area, we would certainly want to work with Parks about that. But we don't want to create an additional maintenance burden for them at the same time. So groups like Mia and Julio's group work, when they submit their design for vetting to other city agencies, the discussions that they typically have is whether, the tree pits can be accommodated with trees in the future. So, we wouldn't want to install tree pits that would not be accepting of trees and then have trees that would not be maintained by Parks.
Okay.
Nothing on this project. I think this is a great project. I actually was part of the walkthrough with DOT and the council member, so this was great.
And if there's no other questions,
I do have an item. I have something for DOT. Keith, you still there, Keith? Keith?
I had to unmute myself. Yes, I'm here.
Keith, you got anything for us for the Valle Square? Any updates?
I mean, the update that I have is not really. It's not really an update because on March 27th. Let's pull up my email. The design on this project, like all consultant projects, has been suspended since March 27th. That's due to the coronavirus. So we just got approval to restart. So DDC was instructed to restart the design, and we have a meeting. I think it's scheduled for this Friday. And so really there's no update since March, since our last meeting.
That's an update.
No,
I'll take that.
Really
That's great
there's
news.
really no update. The update is that it's because of COVID, and now we're looking to restart it.
But, I just want to make sure you remember, I think it was in our June meeting where you agreed every couple of months to give us an update, even if it's 2 minutes, which it just was now. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I actually just forwarded you an email from MTA, some work that they did down. You weren't included. I wanted to make sure you knew what was going on there.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Keith. Thank you.
And just so that you know, during the construction, when this project actually starts, there will be a dedicated construction liaison who will be coming to the district service cabinet meetings and or your board meetings, whatever you want, to update you on the progress of the schedule once the construction starts, but we're still in design.
Let's make sure that really happens, because every time you guys tell me that, it doesn't come, it never happens. I just want to let you know about that. Every time you tell me there's a dedicated person to a project, they're going to come to meetings, they never come to none of the meetings. And I'm talking about that
bridge one.
The bridge project.
Because that was not a full-time bridge person. That was a component rehab, and that project liaison had like 10 bridges throughout the city. So yes.
Okay.
I apologize for that. We should have had somebody.
No apologize. We're good. Don't worry about
that.
That's fine. You guys have been wonderful. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Keith, on that project for the Fire Square that I have a concern with is, like always, I don't know how you guys are going to do this, if you're going to put it out for bid on the construction side. But if you are, we would like to see some community hiring for this particular project because, we always want to get something else out of it besides the craziness that we're going to have. And that project goes into effect, Del Valle, you're going to have probably the Amtrak going into place also, and there's going to be a whole lot of craziness. So to keep some of the community happy, we have to look at possible jobs. If you could put it into your bidding that they have to hire locally.
I don't know enough about how the RFP process works, to be honest with you. But I believe that there is a local and minority requirement in all of the bids. But I don't know if there's one specific just for like the Bronx zip code of CB2. But I can look into it. But we don't do the bidding. It's actually bid out. We pay for it, but we actually pay the Department of Design and Construction to bid it out for us. They're the managers of the contract. But I can ask about it. I don't know the specific. I don't know how that all totally works, to be honest. But
Ralph, we have to look into that before that project goes into effect, because then, we need to, in all our projects, that we are always constantly asking for community hiring, some local hiring,
Yeah.
This way everybody feels that they're getting a good shot out of all the jobs.
Right. Yeah, I mean, most of the companies that qualify for these kinds of RFPs are New York companies, and they do hire local. But I don't know if I don't know if we can put a requirement in an RFP for it. That's really something I'd have to go to our legal department and talk to DDC about. I don't know. But we can look into it.
Quick question.
And how about my bikes? You're going to move some of them out?
I believe we have a meeting don't we have a meeting scheduled?
Friday at 9:30.
Friday at 9:30. So
Friday at 9:30.
Yeah, Ralph will be representing me.
I'm going to come on a dirt bike, though. I'm going to go on a dirt bike. I'm going to come in a Revel. I'm going to come in a Revel.
A Revel?
Yeah, I'm going to come in a Revel.
All right, gentlemen. This has been like lots of fun, but
wait.
Listen,
sorry, just Maria. Just
before something, yeah.
Yeah, before you wrap it up, I actually neglected to say that.
I have one more question here before you wrap up, if you don't mind. The RFP for the vendor for the Valle. I know we didn't have one when we closed out in June. Was that RFP put back out for a vendor for that location, or was one chosen?
I think you're confusing two different things. You're talking about the Parks Department vendor?
That would be part. Well, I know that there was going to be a concession.
Yeah, that's not my agency. You'd have to follow up with Parks about it. I don't know.
And then actually there weren't any viable, if I recall correctly, there weren't any viable applicants, and so now that's kind of dead for now.
I was referring strictly to the reconstruction RFP, which was for the infrastructure itself, not for a concession stand or a concessionaire.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, and now Matt, you had something you wanted to add.
Yeah, sorry, I neglected to say that this is a grant-funded project, and since it's grant-funded, we do require a letter of support from the community board. So we are also here today to ask for that. So I'm sorry that I neglected to say that at the beginning of the presentation, but as part of this presentation, we are also asking for a letter of support.
Okay, so Ralph, right now it's just me and Felvis, right?
Correct. It's just you and Felvis.
So we don't have quorum, so we would have to take this to executive committee. And
Douglas, I didn't even know you was on.
to the full, right?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
what we're gonna do is on Monday, get a consensus between you and Belvis, at least a consensus between you two whether you like the project or not. And when we go to the executive committee, we can at least say that there was a consensus, but there wasn't enough to vote on.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well.
I'm all for it.
Okay.
You know, I think it's a great project for the community.
Okay. Yeah, I think it'll add to some pedestrian safety, and that's what we want to see happening all around that area, because that is a very confusing space. So.
So Ralph, on Monday, make sure it's on the agenda. All right. And let's make sure that we have all the members on, so like that we don't have no problems, and we can start it quick and end it quick.
So
I'm sorry, excuse me, Bobby. It's me, Love. I'm on. Okay.
Who's this?
This is Love. Hi, everybody. I've been on for a while, but I'm quiet.
How are you, Miss Love?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much, you guys. Everybody's okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank God.
Okay. So just another quick question. We're not going to the end of October for the full board. The full board will be on the 21st, not the 28th.
Full board meeting is still on for the 20. What was it about?
No, the full board is the 28th. However, we need the executive committee meeting on the 19th because things came up that are timely sensitive.
There's going to be two issues of time sensitive, which is yours, this one here, and something else that came up that I need the executive board to vote on.
All right, listen, you guys are exhausting the amount of time that you get me. So, you're really running up the quota that I gave you guys for meetings. So, you're running up the tab.
The other times we didn't.
Your favorite, so it's just the more you ask, the more you get more time with us.
You guys are fine. You guys are fine. It's Bobby and Ralph.
Matthew, I'll follow up with you guys on what occurred at the executive, like Tuesday next week. What's that, the 20th? Sure. I'll follow up with you. Next meeting on the 28th. So if it passes at executive, we just need one of you guys present to answer any questions.
Okay, that's fine. You just if there's a meeting time, just let us know, and one of us will be there.
Yeah, you don't need to attend the executive meeting. Yeah, okay. But the full board meeting would be at 6 o'clock. We'll send you all the information the way we sent this to you guys. Okay.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
Keith, do you think that we could get an update from your meeting tomorrow in regards to Valier by our next community meeting?
Friday. The meeting was Friday, he said.
Oh, Friday. Okay. Well, our next meeting will be next month, so just wondering if someone can be there to just give us an update.
Okay.
So that was you, Delvis, requesting the update?
Yeah, that's Delvis.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Keith is muted right now, but he is nodding. I see him. So that means that yes, we will provide that information.
Awesome.
Trying to find. I was looking at Ralph's emails. I mean Ralph's photos that he sent me at Del Valle, and so I could not switch back between the two screens fast enough to unmute myself. Sorry.
No worries.
Operator error on my part. I was having trouble.
No worries. No worries.
As long as we could get some update from your meeting for the Del Valle Square.
Right.
See, so that we know how far down the road this has been extended to.
Yeah, my guess is, we can do that. I'll have my capital people. It's an internal meeting with DDC and our capital folks. They'll brief us Monday probably, or send us an email late Friday on an update on what happened at the meeting. I wasn't planning on attending because I have the meeting with you guys and the City Bike. Unless you want to reschedule the City Bike meeting, which I don't think you want to do.
No, I don't think
attending, Keith. So I'll be attending, so I'll be able to report back to you and to everybody else here.
Matt will have it. Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Take care. Have a good one.
Thank you very much. Nice seeing you all.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Give my regards to Mr. Lopez since he didn't want to say nothing today.
He was having technological issues, but he sent his regards as well. So we'll talk to you guys soon.
Okay. All right. Okay, so moving along, we have Parks Department and Concrete Plant Park, Tower Structural Stabilization. So I think I saw Mike Ortiz. Who else is on from Parks?
I'm Benjamin Conover. I'm Benjamin Conover, structural engineer with Parks, and I'm joined by Ray Palmeris, who's our deputy director of structural and civil engineering.
Okay. Okay, so the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity to present. We're presenting the Tower Structural Stabilization Phase 1 of Concrete Plant Park. It is funded by $4 million worth of state of good repair funding, and under a dollar contract of citywide stabilization that is being registered shortly. This is a somewhat urgent project, and it's the reason why we're using this tool. If you can forward, please. The context here is that the park contains these 8 decommissioned concrete plant towers that are structurally dilapidated to varying degrees. This project covers 4 of them with the goal of restoring public and staff safety, eventually restoring lost park space, given that these are currently all fenced off and they used to be open, preserving these signature features of the park, controlling maintenance costs, and keeping the park open to the public. Next slide, please. These are the 4 towers in question in Phase 1. They are in particularly poor condition, and as you'll see in the following slide. The problems with these towers are that they're complex and climbable. They have missing structural elements, braces. They have damaged connections. In this case, here's a connection that was cut, and pervasive corrosion. The towers are 70 to about 40 years old. We have had consultant engineers look at these towers and recommend that the park be closed in high wind conditions, and also that if these conditions aren't addressed, they represent a significant safety threat, and park that would eventually lead to the park being closed to protect public safety. The next slide, please. Here's some images of the upper portions of the towers, where you can see that they are also in poor condition, as is the support structure. Our plan is to do a 2-phase project here, and in the second phase to address these upper portions, the tanks and hoppers themselves, as well as the other 4 towers that are in better condition and don't need to be addressed in the next, basically immediately. They don't need to be addressed immediately. They can wait a few years for the rest of the project. Next slide, please. So here is a plan of the existing fencing in the park. And also, one of the things that's happened over the course of years since 2009 when the park opened is that it was identified that people were climbing the structures. In the original design of 2009, the Parks Department had plans to restrict climbing on the towers by including bear claws, and also to repair the tower structurally. But the funding ran out, and those goals were not able to be achieved at that time. In addition, the use of bear claws to prevent climbing was discontinued for safety reasons. They're not considered safe, and they're certainly not viewable. Next slide, please. Oh, sorry. Can we go back to that slide? I just want to touch on one thing. So, over the course of years, Bronx River Alliance and the borough have ended up moving containers that are used by Bronx River Alliance to support their programs into the relative safety of the fenced area underneath the towers that are not safe and are dropping debris. So one of the things that's going to happen is that these fences were put up as exclusion zones to protect the public, and then things got put inside them that actually draw the public to these areas. These containers will be moved back to their original position or some other position to get them approved in the future. Right now, the containers need to go out of where they are. And so that'll be a change that'll immediately help protect people. Okay, now we can go on to the next slide. Thank you. On the left, you can see what it looked like in 2007, 8, and 9 when the park was opened. This area was clean and clear and people could access it. It's really in the center of the park. And it's pretty nice to be around these great big kind of robot-looking things. I like it. On the right-hand side, a little difficult to see, but that area is full of these containers. It's not maintained. The fencing around it restricts access to the promenade, and generally it's in poor condition. It's really not safe for anybody to be inside of it, including park staff. So that's our real goal, to get these things fixed, is to open the park back up and make it improve usability for the public. Next slide, please. So our intention in repairing them is to do two different things. One is to simplify and replace the structural bracing of each tower, and then also to concrete encase the steel columns of the towers. When the bracing goes in, the bracing will be raised up above a level that can be reached by a person. And when the tower legs are encased, one of the ways that people climb these is they grab the steel flanges of the steel beams and they shimmy up them to get to the level of the bracing, and then they're able to get up into the sort of jungle gym of the towers. So by concrete encasing these steel members, it not only reinforces and strengthens the tower itself, but it allows us to raise the bracing up above a height that can be reached, and it keeps people from their primary method of climbing. These concrete encasements will be large enough that you won't be able to shimmy up them in the same way that they can be climbed right now by our parkour enthusiasts. Next slide. So here's another image. This is showing one of the primary structures. This is one of the larger structures in the park. On the left-hand side, it's what the current bracing looks like. You can see how very easy it is to get to the low level of bracing. On the right-hand side, the proposed bracing, and on an overall scale, the relatively similar size of the concrete encased column to the steel columns. They will be bigger, but when you look at the entire structure, not so much bigger. On the lower right-hand corner, you can see the material example, galvanized steel bracing and concrete encasement, and just to get a sort of sense of what the materials look like, more or less. Next slide, please. So we've got some renders. The color's not quite right. I apologize about that. It's my limited and poor skill with Photoshop. But on the left-hand side, you can see this is a fairly early picture of the park. The towers have been fading over time. There was, the paint color has degraded from kind of a brick red to some kind of pale orangey pink, I'm not sure. But really, you can see the picture. What we're seeing here is, the possibility of having the concrete legs and the revised bracing in the, to raise it up. Next slide, please. And here's a view from the other side of the park. This is from the north side of the park, Westchester Avenue, heading south. And again, you can see revised bracing and concrete encasement. Doesn't really change the whole picture, but up close they'll look a little bit different, but you'll be able to get up close to them after the end of phase 2. Next slide, please. And then the final one. This just shows what it looks like underneath those towers right now. This is what we see every day when we go to the park. And on the right-hand side, at the end of phase 2, we opened up under the towers. People will be able to interact with the towers, have picnics under there, enjoy their shade, and also just marvel at the industrial waterfront that was. I believe that's my last slide. And to follow up on what Matthew said, we need to go to Public Design Commission with this, and we're seeking a letter of agreement. I'm not sure what the technical term is.
I think it's a no objection.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you very much. This is my first time presenting to community board, so I appreciate your attention and patience.
Oh, okay. All right. So we'll go easy on you. But
okay.
Okay. No, this is good. Thank you guys very much for paying attention to this. Conference Plant Park is a beautiful park, and we want it to be at its best at all times. Again, I guess the usual questions are like, what's your timeline for this? When do you look to start and when do you look to end? And you said that park would be completely closed during construction?
No. The concern is that if we don't do this in a timely fashion, that the park would have to be closed on an emergency basis if something, if one of these towers were to start to really, go. And that's possible. That's absolutely possible. So that's what I was referring to. The area of work in the park will close the promenade in the area of the towers. It will close a portion of the bike lane, and it will, but the goal is to not, we don't think that we need to completely close off the park across the middle to prevent access from, through the park from Bruckner Boulevard to Westchester Avenue. So the park will be open and there will still be a through path. It just won't, the area around the towers will have to be closed.
And you're going to do that by just currently keeping the chain link fence that surround them now?
No, we'll have to take down the current chain link fence and install a construction fence over a larger area of the park so that we can contain all of the construction activity, which also represents the threat to the public while it's ongoing. So there will need to be room for the equipment and material within that construction fence. We haven't set the size of that construction fence, but again, our anticipation is that there will be a 40 to 60 foot buffer open area between the fence on the property line with the Amtrak train and the construction fence. And there will be some sort of temporary path signage, et cetera, in that area.
Okay. I know also there, they do some urban farming, there's some gardening there,
Yes.
That'll be protected and maintained? We get that.
The food forests in those areas that Bronx River Alliance has been working are to the north of the site. And we will pass them as we use the bike path as a construction access, but will not in that area. We won't leave the bike path and won't have any impact on those facilities.
Okay.
They're really nice. I like it a lot up there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a nice space. Does anybody else have any other questions?
Ralph, you got anything?
Maria, I agree with the chair. I'm happy to hear that I was hoping that you weren't going to demolish them. Then my question was, how come you guys neglected it this long? But I'm happy, like Madam Chair said, I'm happy that you guys are paying attention to this. I think it's a very unique park, in particular with these silos, and that it's on the water, and it's right on the corner of our district. So at least we're not neglecting anything in our district. So I'm really happy that Parks is paying attention to this, and I'm happy that the Bronx River Alliance will benefit from this. So I'm on board.
Certainly part of our goal. We're doing the work that's being done in Starlight Park, the addition of bridges, to allow the flow through on the Bronx River Greenway. We want to make sure that this park is up to date and kept, made nice this way as the rest of the Greenway is also supported.
And the bike lane that goes across is not going to be, there's not going to be an obstacle to get through there, right?
The bike lane will be closed temporarily during construction and reopened when the construction is complete. And we will provide some sort of path adjacent to the construction site that will allow safe travel through the park from north, along the lane.
All right. Thank you.
You have the phase 1 and phase 2. Do you see them happening kind of close with each other, or is there going to be like a year?
So there's two reasons why we split up into two phases. The tools that we have available now, we don't have the tools or the funding to address the upper portions of the towers that are getting rusted metal and paint. So if we delayed everything into one phase, it would be put off several years, and then it's very likely that the park would have to be closed completely. Cut across the park and closed from north to south. So in order to not do that, we're addressing these bad ones, these worst towers now. But we also have a timeline of 2023 to address the other towers, similarly recommended by our consultants, because they are also not in great condition. So all of them have to be addressed, and the towers have to be addressed. The tanks and hoppers have to be addressed in short order. So that's the time frame, is doing this now, and we have about a 3-year cycle to get a project like that to construction. So you can imagine 2020.
Thank you.
There's no letter of support they need on this, right, Maria?
We need a letter of objection. Very similar to we're going to have to.
All right. So at the exec, so Ralph, I guess at the exec committee we have to put this also on. Rafael?
I'm muted. Yes, absolutely. We got 4 items from yesterday and 2 items today. So, Mike, very similar. We already have the presentation. Let's speak to Stelvis now about a consensus for this.
I'm sorry, what?
Stelvis, you on board with this project?
Stelvis?
He just muted himself. Stelvis.
I mute myself.
Stelvis, you there, Stelvis? Stelvis.
Yeah, now you can. Do you have any objections to this project, Elvis?
Hearing none.
Guess not hearing none. We'll just take it over to the executive committee, and we'll all vote on it. And
Mike, we'll do it very similar to last month, Mike. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And Benjamin, that was a great presentation. Both Mike and Benjamin, that was a great presentation. Thank you so much for that.
Actually, I want to know, Ralph, if that can be shared, because we do a lot of stuff with that park. Yeah, a lot of people will be excited to hear that this is going to happen.
You tell them that it was the board that did it. It was Bobby Crespo, okay? You tell them that.
Ralph Acevedo did that, all right? This way, if there's any complaints, they can go talk to Ralph. And we'll send them to Mike after that.
Listen,
they all come to me already.
Just a bit of personal stuff. I called 311 about the dead tree in front of my house, and it looks like in another 125 days, Parks will come and take it away. So I'm really excited about that.
Email me. Let me see what I can do for you.
There's a price to everything, Mike,
Hello?
I mean, she's got a tree, I got bikes all around me, Now they're going to put a sidewalk on Westchester Avenue. They say, you guys are going to keep it clean. I mean, there's a price to everything.
Listen.
Wait, we're going to keep it clean.
I had a question for Park. Hello, I had a
what he said was he's going to consult with us because they don't want to increase our maintenance burden. That's what he said.
Listen, they asked who's going to maintain it, and they said Parks. That's all I needed to hear.
That's not the way I remember it.
Okay.
You could tell that to Iris.
Mr. Crespo, as yourself, is that a question for Parks?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. I think the project that you're working on right there is great. Full endorsement. Just have a question of one of our hot spots in the area, in the community, Rainy Park. I see, and I'm very thankful, Mike, that you guys have really stepped up. You got patrols going through the park. And look, and quite honestly, I don't want to stop people from having fun. We live in a rental community, and people need to be able to get out and go outside. I see also that you've turned the front of the park at the entrance of Longwood. On the side, you've created a place where people can dump their trash. Much needed. And I'm not sure who was the brainchild behind that, but I thought it was a great idea until I see that the trash sits there. and just collect. Now in that area we have a very huge rat problem, and there's a school next door. So I like the idea of giving people a place where they can dump their trash. That's a huge receptacle. However, I'm very unhappy at how it's being maintained, because we have a ton of trash sitting there for days now. So that's a very huge problem with the rats, and again the school next door, and it just makes our boulevard look disgusting, to be very frank.
Right. I'll speak to the park manager about it, but I believe those are supposed to be picked up. I don't think it's supposed to go more than like a day without those being picked up, but I'm not very sure. If you see the same trash there for days on that, there is something wrong. It could be that our packer, our large garbage truck could be down. That could be one of the issues, unfortunately, and we don't have loader vehicles. So, unfortunately, once one of our large garbage collection vehicles go down, we're usually, it's like we have to bring people in on overtime from another district and get a vehicle from another district if they're not using it. So maybe that could be the issue, but I'm not sure. Let me speak to Felix, the park manager, and see what's going on. And Ralph, I'll get back to you on that, and maybe you can let Elvis know if that's okay.
Yeah, because this brings up a good point. But Elvis, you know what's the irony here is that the parks manager, their office is Rainey Park, so he has to be seeing this also every day.
I'm well aware of that. Guess why?
I
jog by it as I walk my son to school every day. So I'm not like one of those guys just looking to point and look at a problem. No, I gave it a couple of days, and I was waiting for my meeting, hoping that Parks would be on us now. I would have just brought it up to my Madam Chair. But again, I don't want to wait. I see you looking to address the heavy load of litter that you guys share.
Yeah, gotcha, Elvis.
However, I don't want to create another problem trying to solve another, because the rats they'll run over your feet over there, Mike. I'm not sure where you live, but they'll literally run over your feet. And with that trash there, we just ask for problems.
I'm very familiar. Let me speak to Felix about it, and I'll let the board know.
And Mike, and Elvis usually doesn't give us many complaints about the area, but and I haven't seen it because I haven't been in the area over 3 weeks. So you would have heard from me a long time ago. But here's my only concern, that NYCHA did a major construction job, which in them excavating their parking lot, large rats came out. So now you got large rats running all over the place. NYCHA fixed that, but the rats are still around. And if you're going to give them a feeding place, they're never going to leave.
Right. That's good. So I'll follow up with that and let you guys know.
Please,
Thank
Mike,
you for bringing that to my attention.
Please.
First.
Thank you for that information.
Thank you, Mike. And thank you.
On that note, guys, I have to run. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Mike. We work you tirelessly, and you always respond. So thank you for everything you do.
Thank you, Mike.
And
thank you, Benjamin.
Good humor.
The commissioner.
Will do.
So I guess the normal rundown, you get the same rundown as DOT did. So we're going to meet on the 19th, I believe, is October, as the executive committee. Ralph can have word for you by the 20th, and then somebody should come on the Zoom, web for the full board meeting, which will be on October 28th, Wednesday, from 6 to 8 p.m.
I'll follow up with Mike with this.
Okay. So thank you. So moving on, any new business? Ralph or Bobby or Elvis, anything?
Nothing from me. Thank you.
Okay. Any announcements? Okay. So I guess a big announcement, that we have a big public forum here. The Supreme Court came and struck again, and so the last day for census is tomorrow. So if you know anyone who didn't do it, please get them to fill out their census, be counted. We need as many people to do that in our community as possible. Oh, my dogs are barking.
That's all, folks.
Keeping up with that. So just want to remind everyone about the census being ended tomorrow. And I think I want to thank Delvis for coming on. You know,
Delvis. Thank you, Delvis. And Love.
You're my family, guys. You're my family. I'm just sorry I was about 5 minutes late. I didn't want to interrupt once you guys got started, but you know I'm here. I'm dedicated, and I love the work that we do. So thank you for being patient with me.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Miss Love. Thank you, Miss Betancourt.
Okay. All right. So with that, I believe this meeting is adjourned. And look, we did it all in an hour. Thank you, everyone, for your participation.